Well, hello again, everyone. It's been, what, 7 months since I uploaded, and I just wanted to say I'm sorry, I guess. I didn't really focus on YouTube that much. Life and school happened, and I was just trying to get that done. And I guess this weekend I felt a little different because I was watching a lot of YouTube videos and these story time videos where they were playing games in the background and telling stories about their lives or just ranting about stuff. It seemed really entertaining to me, and I kind of wanted to do content on this, and I said, hey, why not tell one of my most, I guess, how would I put it, most interesting stories out there for all of you guys to hear because, I felt like, telling a story, I guess. It's pretty late at night at the time I'm recording this. It's like 4:05 or something like that, 4 in the morning. So I was just like, hey, why not just record a late night video? So I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And the story of today is my psych ward experience. Yes, I went to a psych ward, and it was a long time ago. It was 7 years ago, and I was really young. I was like 10 years old at the time, and I was dealing with some pretty heavy mental health problems. I remember how it started was I was sitting on the couch, and the news was playing, and I remember kind of like fixated on that, right? And I remember I was like listening to it, and it was about a Valentine's Day shooting at a high school. You know, some pretty fucked up shit. And I remember thinking something pretty fucked up thanks to this shooting. I was like, well, what if I was a school shooter? What if I wanted to hurt innocent people like this guy was doing? Like what if I would enjoy killing people? What if I wanted to become a killer? And these thoughts, they would God, they would just fucking frighten me, man. I was just scared. I remember having a panic attack right there on the couch. I remember panicking a lot. I don't know if it was really just a panic attack, but I just remember having a lot of anxiety and I was just, trying to catch my breath. I was like, and I was just breathing in and out, but I couldn't do it, and I just needed to be alone for a second. So I remember walking up to my mom, who was talking to my grandma at my time about that shooting, and I was saying, hey, I'm gonna be in my room for a little bit if you need me. And she was like, hey, okay, is everything okay? I told her, yeah, everything's fine. I just need to be alone for a little bit. And she's like, okay, yeah. So I went in my room, and I remember just sitting there, kind of wanting to cry because of this fear that I kept constantly having. And I remember just sitting in my bed for the remainder of that day, just thinking about this terrible, terrible, evil fucking thought, and I would beat myself up about it because I would think I was just disgusting monster for thinking this. And I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell her. I couldn't. I thought she would think of me as some monster and some devil and put me in jail for the rest of my life. And I was really, really scared that she would hate me. And so I didn't tell her for 4 months. And half of those, like 2 months in, I remember having this new thought in my head because I was so depressed for the next 2 months of having these thoughts of just hurting people, and it would give me terrible headaches. I would remember constantly I would ask my mom for headache pills, like painkillers and stuff, just to cure my headache. And I was just sad. I wasn't happy, and at 10 years old, I wanted to take my own life. I wanted to die. I didn't want to live with these thoughts forever because I thought this was how I'd live forever. And I've been having a lot of thoughts of just ending myself. I was saying, hey, I'm a monster, right? Maybe a monster should just die. But I never did it because life was precious to me. I liked playing video games. I liked seeing my mom. So I just never really mustered up the courage to do it. Eventually, of course, 2 other months happened, total 4 months. And I remember how I told her was I was sitting at the table because she was forcing me to do homework. It was some math homework, right? Of course, I rolled my eyes and said, all right, I'll do my homework. And I remember doing it, but my head was throbbing that day. It hurted from these thoughts. And I remember kind of wanting to cry, I guess. I remember being really sad, and my mom saw the sadness in my face, and she was like, "Hey, are you okay?" I then broke down, tears all over my math homework, and I said, "No, no, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I've been having these really bad thoughts. I want to hurt people. I want to hurt myself. I'm tired of these thoughts, Mom. I want help. I need help." She looked at me with shock and sadness and just said, "Go to your room." At that moment, I thought she hated my guts. I thought she was going to call the police because she immediately went to her room after. And I remember immediately running to my room and closing the door and just sobbing uncontrollably. I was crying because I hated these thoughts. I hated them. And so, after like 30 minutes or so, I had her knock on my door. I took a deep breath and I opened it, and it turned out to be my grandma. She was like, "Hey, kiddo, I heard what happened. You doing okay?" I told her no, and I told her all of the thoughts I was, experiencing, and told her that I wasn't happy, and I just needed help. My grandma cooked up a theory saying, "Maybe you have a brain tumor." I was like, "A brain tumor?" And she was like, "Yeah, it could explain your throbbing headaches and all these bad thoughts. We're going to take you to the doctor tomorrow morning, okay? And we're going to get this fixed. I promise, kiddo." I hugged her and I said, "Thank you so much, Grandma." And she just said, "Stay strong. We're going to bring you first thing in the morning." I remember waking up pretty early, and we headed over there. Sorry, my vocab sucks ass sometimes, but I remember the drive there. I had a big smile on my face because I was finally getting help. We then waited in the doctor's office for like 30 minutes until they finally said, "All right, come on." And I don't remember I had to go in this device, and I don't really remember what the device name was. I just remember it was just some sort of scanner that my whole body had to go in there, and basically all of me had to go in there, and it would scan every part of me, but it would put pictures of my brain to see if there was a tumor or not. And so they told me this special rule. They were like, "Okay, you have to stay absolutely still for this to work so we can see if you have a tumor or not, okay?" I told them, "Okay, I'll stay absolutely still." They let me choose a movie since they told me it was going to take a while, like an hour or so I might as well get comfortable and watch a movie. I remember distinctly picking Diary of a Wimpy Kid because, well, I love Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Diary of a Wimpy Kid was my favorite book franchise, and I remember collecting a lot of them when I was younger. I don't collect a lot of them anymore, but I remember just loving Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And I remember watching the movie, staying still like they told me, and it only took like an hour actually, or maybe even less, like 50 minutes, until they pulled me out and they broke some bad news to me. They're like, "So the photos were, yeah, they're not good enough for us. They're kind of dark and we can't really see what's going on in there. So we're going to have to need you to do that again." And I remember like, "What? Again?" They were like, "Yeah, sorry. And we're going to inject you into something so the photos can be brighter and we can get this done guaranteed this time if you don't move." And I was like, "Wait, make a shot to make photos brighter?" And they pulled out a syringe and like, "Yep, we're going to have to inject this kind of in your vein. So we're going to need you to stay strong for us, okay?" And I'm going to be honest, I fucking hated needles. I hate needles still in my life. I mean, I'm not scared of them as much as I was before, but I remember I would always want to cry when I got a shot. I don't do that anymore, obviously, since I kind of got used to them. But back then, I remember being deadly afraid of them. And this was kind of the first stepping stone of me being brave to shots. Took a deep breath, and I was like, anything to rid me from these bad fucking thoughts. I'll do anything. So I took the shot. They ejected it in my vein and pulled it out carefully, and they bandaged up my arm. I remembered the pain, right? The pain was like, if I put it in a pain scale, 6 out of fucking 10. That thing burned and hurted, and I remember holding my arm when they put me back in there, and I was flinching a lot. And they called up in a little, like, kind of calm that was in there. They're like, "Hey, remember, you moved. We have to do this all over again." And I told them, I was like, "I'm trying, I really am, but God, my arm hurts too much. I think you did something, or I think it's bad." And they were like, "Okay, we're gonna check it out." So they pulled me out and they checked it out, and they said my arm was fine, and they were gonna give me some ice for the pain. God, I remember rolling my fucking eyes hearing ice for the pain, because I remember my nurse would always, the school nurse would always say, I'm just gonna give you ice for it. We're just gonna get you ice, okay? You get to go to class. And I remember hating hearing those words whenever I got hurt on the playground. And I just said, okay, fine. And honestly, that was probably the only time ice actually helped with pain. Like, that thing was hot as fuck. It felt hot. I felt like it was burning. And the ice actually cooled it down and let the pain kind of numb a little bit. And it dumbed down the pain to a 6 to a 2. And it felt pretty good. You know, I was able to stay still for majority of the time, and they got the photos, and they told me they were going to tell me the results a little bit, and I had to stay in the hospital. So I did. My mom was praising me on how proud I was when I told her the story of me getting a shot like a brave boy, and she was like, good job, Kevin, good job. And I remember kind of sitting there talking to my mom, laughing about some jokes I told her, and they walked in and they told me, they were like, hey, good news, you don't have any tumors, you're tumor free, your brain's fine. But that leaves us to those bad thoughts you've been having. My mom immediately said, yeah, what about those? How can we fix those? And they deemed me unstable for kind of like society or something, and they were worried that I was actually going to hurt myself or actually hurt someone. And I can't blame them because, well, these thoughts are pretty serious, and I'm glad they took serious action to putting me in a psych ward. They told me that I was going to, like I said, I was going to go to a psych ward because of how unstable they thought I was. And my mom and my grandma immediately argued, saying, no, he doesn't need to go to the psych ward. Let's just send him to some therapy, maybe give him a prescription for, some things. And they were like, nope. He has to go over there. And he has to ride an ambulance over there. My grandma and my mom tried super hard to fight me to get out of it, but they were like, nope, the ambulance is coming. We're going to have to do this. They couldn't ride in the ambulance with me. I had to ride with it alone, and they told me to stay strong, and they'll meet me over there. I remember scaredly walking in the ambulance, but the people in the ambulance were actually really, really nice to me. They told me a bunch of questions about what I liked, how was my day, and to stay strong. I told them that I liked plushies, and my day was going good, and I was trying my best to stay strong, trying my best to look optimistic, and I thought I was doing a pretty good job, I still held on tight that after all this, I would get cured and I would go home normal this day. And I remember the ambulance ride was pretty short. I think it was like 30 minutes, maybe not even. And I remember getting out of the ambulance. They were getting me out, and they were one of the girl doctor people in the ambulance. I forgot what they were called. I'm sorry. And they were like, "Hey, I got something for you." And she pulled something out of this old container, and it was a little plushy bear. And I remember immediately falling in love with it. It was a cute little teddy bear. It was just your average teddy bear. And I was like, thank you. And she was like, you can add it to your little plushie collection you were telling me about. And I remember my heart was warm because, I loved it when people gave me plushies, especially my mom. I had a big plushie collection because of her. And I remember smiling and being very happy, kind of forgetting that I had to stay overnight at a psych ward, and I was deadly scared of staying overnight there because I was very connected with my mom. I mean, I didn't really talk. I didn't have any friends back then. I didn't really talk to many people because I thought all I needed was my mom and my family, because I didn't really like talking to other people other than them, and I never wanted to be separated from them. And hearing that I'd have to be separated from them for a couple days frightened me, but getting that plushie made me forget almost all about it. I was just so happy to get something, I immediately met up with my grandma and my mom, and of course they all came flooding, back in. I remember the darkness and the thoughts, but I was really appreciative for that small moment of grace, and I, was ready to deal with whatever came next. Eventually, I kind of forgot a lot about what happened these past couple of little hours that are upcoming ahead. I remember talking to a lot of people and my mom and my grandma fighting a lot about, me not staying there, but they were so fixated on me having to be here because they really did think I was going to do it if I did not go over there. So eventually my stepdad came. He brought over a pair of clothes and another pair of shoes, and I just figured, like, shit, I'm going to have to stay here. But I was able to control my fear because I wanted to be normal. And if doing this meant I would be normal, I was willing to do it in a heartbeat. So I took a deep breath and I was like, I'm going to do it. But I still had the look of fear on my face. And my stepdad saw that while he was giving me my stuff. And while we waited for the doctor to take me to the place, he grabbed one of the two plushies that were on the table, which was Teddy Bear plushie and Incredible Hulk plushie, which my mom got from the gift shop. And he started playing plushies with me, something that I loved doing. I loved playing with plushies with my sister when I was growing up, and him doing that was really fun. I don't think I've ever laughed and smiled more in my life than that moment right there. And that moment made me literally forget about all the bad things in my life. I didn't have any bad thoughts. I didn't have any fears. It was just me and my stepdad just having a fun game of some stupid plushie story that we made up in like 30 seconds. And 30 minutes later, the guy came. He was like, all right, I'm ready to escort your son to where he needs to be. And I immediately started, like, it was so bizarre because I was like laughing my ass off to then crying, immensely, just crying. And my mom hugged me and she was like, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. I need you to be strong. They're going to help you, okay? I promise. I took a deep breath and I walked in there. My head up high, knowing that when I exit that room, that place, I would be cured. I'd be normal again. I'd be normal Gavin. Something that I've kind of yearned for. And so I walked in. I remember overhearing that I had to stay with a person, like we had to be bunk mates, and I was kind of scared to do that because I wasn't, again, I'm not a social butterfly. I don't talk to many people. I didn't talk to many people at school, so I was kind of scared to talk to someone at this place. Luckily, though, he left as soon as I entered. The doctor said that, oh yeah, that kid, yeah, it was actually his time to go, and you get the bunk all by yourself. Lucky you. Not a lot of people have that. And I was wondering how many people were actually here, and I had to, talk to. But they told me I would figure that out fast in the morning. They just told me to get comfortable. They gave me some melatonin to help me sleep, and they left me all alone in a dark room because it was lights out. I remember putting my stuff down and just sitting down, kind of scared because I didn't really like the dark that much, and I just kind of cried a little bit. Missed my mom. I wanted to go home. I couldn't really sleep until finally, like 10 minutes of me being there, I finally just got some shut eye. It was pretty hard because the beds were uncomfortable as shit. They were like gym mats, your average gym school mats. And I finally fell asleep. Then brings us to day one in the ward. I was kind of groggy. I didn't get the best of sleep because of the bed. But I remember waking up pretty early and just sitting in my bed waiting for them to call me out. Eventually at like 8 or so, they finally did, and I got to meet the 3 other boys that were there. They were all pretty mean looking. They mean mugged me a lot, and they looked at me like kind of weirdly. I wouldn't say mean mugging, sorry. I would just say like just looked at me weirdly. And I was immensely uncomfortable with them because I thought they did not like me, and they only just saw me once. So I kind of stayed out of their way. On the first day, it was actually really easy. All we did was go to some gym and played basketball. Well, not played basketball. The three boys played basketball. I didn't. I just mind my own business. I was just dribbling a ball around the court, taking a walk, laps around the court, just dribbling a ball. And I was watching them play basketball, and after like an hour or maybe 2 hours, they called us back, and we went to go eat lunch. I remember not liking the lunch at all. It was some sort of, I think it was some sort of food I ate. I can't remember the food. I remember I think I just majority ate yogurt there. I remember just generally always getting yogurt or cereal because I didn't like any of the meat there, I think. I'm sorry if I'm saying I think. I just generally just didn't really eat meat, and I remember just not liking it when I first had it. So I just ate some Greek yogurt and called it a day. And they put me back in my room, and I just chilled there because I didn't bring any books. And yeah, I just relaxed, kept to myself. Kind of confused how going to a gym was supposed to help me get rid of my thoughts, but hey, pretty easy day, right? I went to bed, and then we were on to day two. Day two was probably the worst day in that fucking place. I hated that day because this is when those three boys started to kind of show their weird side. I remember I was so bored out of my mind that I had to just sit here and do nothing majority. And those kids, even in the first day, they just sat and talked to each other. And I kind of wanted to overhear what they were saying. I was a nosy kid back then, so I immediately got up, sat over there like they did, and listened to their conversation. And what they said disturbed me. It actually kind of scared me because of how much they didn't value their own lives. They were talking about how they try to kill themselves. They all try to hang themselves. Remember that one kid was saying, yeah, I tried to hang myself, but my mom saw that I was trying to set up the noose and she stopped me and put me here. Second kid said the same. And the last kid, he was like, yeah, my mom tried to do this. I was so close to actually doing it. I was hanging for a little bit, and then my mom caught me. I think he said the word, he called her, his own mother, a bitch. And I remember being disgusted. I'm pretty sure he called her that, right? I remember kind of hearing that, like him muttering that in the bottom of his breath, but I wasn't so sure. I tried to get closer to listen to what he said, but he noticed me kind of getting closer, and he was like, he looked at me, and he kind of like smiled a little crooked smile. And he asked me the weirdest question in my life that I've ever been asked. Well, it was weird for my age. It was, hey kid, you ever had sex before? I immediately looked at him weirdly, and I immediately scooted away, and I tried to get myself out of his eyesight. And he yelled out, he was like, has your mother ever had sex before? And I remember just kind of like wanting to shed a tear because it was so weird and it was so unnatural. I think the kid even laughed a little bit about it, and his friends did too, talking about other stuff. Then it was time for us on the second day, and I remember it was an outside day. It was basically gym again, but we just went outside to just enjoy the fresh air and, do stuff around here. I think it was soccer out there, so the boys played soccer or sat around. And I remember just sitting there, just thinking about that question he asked me and how weird it was and how I wanted to get out of here, and this place wasn't helping me. It was making it worse. Was this my punishment for thinking these bad thoughts? This is terrible. I want to go home. I want to see my mom. Eventually, after another 2 hours, they put us back in our rooms, and that was the end of day two, Before that, I again ate again, but nothing than that. That was what's new for day two. Day three was interesting because apparently day two was all those three boys' last day, and I was scared because I thought I had to be all alone in the ward. It was just the doctors, and I was kind of scared until, I slept on day two, then woke up on day three, and this new girl was there. Those boys left, and I saw this girl who was like, I think maybe 4 years older than me, maybe even 2. I can't remember, but I remember she was older than me a little bit, and she was nicer than those boys. And I remember, seeing her, and I was happy because I wasn't going to do this alone. I had another kind of buddy next to me. I didn't talk to her either because, again, I was an introvert. I didn't talk to many people, but, you know, I was just glad that she was somewhat sane under like that other kid. On day three, it was another weird day because we didn't have any free time. They made us kind of trace music, I guess I should say. Like they gave us papers of a song. I think it was called "Let You Down" or something like that. And we just had to listen to that song a couple times while we traced the lyrics with our fingers. It was weird. I didn't really get that little experiment they were doing, but we did it with a couple other songs. I think it was three, maybe two songs. And it just sent us back to our room, and that was it. I remember day three was also kind of like a visiting day, I believe. I remember seeing my mom on day three, and we were talking, and they were telling me they have a way to get me out. And they said that I had like a total of like 5-ish days there, and they told me that I had to lie to the person to get me out so I can go to therapy and get real help, because they told me that this place really doesn't help you. It just keeps you here till you're stable again. And I remember that I hated the idea of lying, but I said, okay, I'll do it because I just wanted to go home. I was just done with all this stuff. I just wanted to be in my bed, you know? And they said, I know, honey, you will. Just do this for us, okay? I nodded my head and I said, okay, I will. And visiting hours were over, and I went to bed, and that was the end of day three. Day four was probably one of my most favorite days because on that day, we were supposed to have another gym day. They were just going to throw us back in the gym and just say, have fun. But the gym was locked, and they didn't have the key, and the person who had the key didn't work that day. So they didn't know what to do with us. They were about to send us back to our room for the whole day, but one of the guys said, wait a minute, I think I have something for them to do. And they talked about the Wii and the little breaker room that they had. And they were like, are you sure? I mean, they can't really play that many games. He was like, no, they're all friendly games. It's Mario. Who doesn't love Mario? And me and the girl were like, yeah, let's play some Mario. Yeah, that sounds fun. And they were like, all right, fine, whatever. So we played Mario. There was Mario Party and Mario Kart, right? But the girl, I think, wanted to play Mario Kart. And me being the introvert I just agreed to it. And even though I liked Mario Kart, it was an okay game. And I remember distinctly her beating me in Mario Kart, and I always told my friends that in my family I never really had any crushes, growing up, but that was kind of a lie. This girl that was in the ward, I only know her for like a day. I kind of found her really cute and kind of nice, but again, I think she was older than me, and it would have never worked anyway, so I kind of tried to bury those feelings, and I'm pretty sure she wouldn't like a guy like me. I mean, I was kind of big, and I didn't really look the best, so kind of shrugged off the feelings and just went along with all I got. I was kind of happy for tomorrow because on day three, I also told my mom to bring me some soft cover books so I could read and just get through these days, kind of quicker and stuff like that. And my mom said, okay, I'll get you some books. And she got me the newest Diary from a Kid. I was so happy too. But I wasn't going to get that till actually later in the day after and I finally did. I got some clothes, some extra clothes, and I got the Wii. Not the Wii. Oh my god, I got the book. It was the new Diary of a Kid book. Oh my god. And then brings us to the last day, day 5. It was the last full day I was there, and I remember nothing really much happened. It was like a Friday, and I guess Fridays were movie days, and the movie that day was Toy Story 4. And they brought me and her to like the older kids' place because that place also held like college to high school kids too. And they were just all there chilling, watching the movie. They kind of looked at us, but they didn't care. They were fixated on that movie. And she immediately sat down with a bunch of other like people. I can't remember where she really exactly saw it. I sat down in an open seat too, and we just watched Toy Story for that remainder of the day. Eventually, it was time to go back to our rooms, and I slept with a happy heart because this nightmare was finally over. Even though it wasn't that bad as of other people's experience, I thought it was kind of bad, I guess. I mean, day 2 was weird. A couple of weird things happened here and there, and Some nurses were kind of assholes, cursing in front of us. But I remember distinctly one nurse cursing under her breath while calling someone on the phone. At least she tried to keep it under her breath, though, so didn't really leave me too mad. But after day 5, I remember reading more of my book, waiting for them to like pull me out so they could talk to me. It wasn't until like later. I felt bad because that means that girl would have to be on her own. But I mean, I couldn't do anything. I just wanted to go home, so I didn't really think about it much. Even though every time I thought about it, I felt bad. What was I gonna do? Want to stay there more, you know? So I just wished that girl the best of luck in my mind, and I went to my interview. The guy said, "Hey, Gavin, how are you doing? How is this place treating you? You feeling?" Basically, just saying, "You feeling better yet?" I said, "Yeah, I think I'm feeling a lot better, and I just really want to go home now. So if it's okay with you, I just want to go home." I remember seeing the guy smile, and he said, "Yeah, if you're feeling better, you're going home." He told me to go back to my room, and my mom will come shortly to pick me up. And that's exactly what happened. I remember in the drive home, she was praising me so much. She was like, "Gavin, you are the bravest kid I know." And that made me feel good. And I was just so glad I was out there. My thoughts, they were suppressed. They weren't as bad. The headache kind of went away. So I would say the place did help me. It helped me value my life more because on day 2, I was just really scared that, I don't know why, but I always thought my life was going to end in this. I thought I was going to die here or something like that. And it made me value my life a lot more, you know? It made me really think about my life and how much it actually meant to me. And that meant a lot to me. And that brought a new light to me, and I knew I really didn't want to end my life. It helped. And I didn't want to end other people's lives. I kind of remember having a lot of time to myself just to think and, you know, really thinking about these thoughts instead of just pushing them away and trying to bury them. It helped. Of course, I went to therapy. They assigned me therapy for a little bit, and the therapist, said that, I had, some anxiety, and he gave me medicine to control that, and I was able to later control it on my own, and I healed properly from it. It was actually not as bad of an experience as I used to like tell the story as, like a year or two after, but like 7 whole years after it, looking back at it now, it was a good experience for me. It made me a tougher person mentally, and it separated that need, away from my mom, because I was super close to my mom. And I guess that experience made me realize that, hey, maybe I didn't need to be with my mom 24/7, made me grow a little bit. So I appreciate it. And therapy was nice, actually. My therapist was a nice person. They took really good care of me. It was a lot better than that place. And yeah, I guess that's the end of the story. If you liked it, I don't know, maybe stay around for a little bit more, because I have a couple other interesting stories that you guys maybe want to hear about my life. Overall, the experience wasn't bad, and I kind of liked it. Well, I wouldn't say that much, so I'm going a little too far. I thought it was tolerable. There we go. That's my real reaction. I thought it was tolerable and a-okay. But yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoy the video. If you guys want to hear more of my voice and just want to hear more of me, you can find me on Revcolor's channel, which is kind of slow right now, but we'll upload something soon. Don't worry. You'll get something eventually. I'm going to try to upload here frequently more, so if you guys like these stories, please just stay around. That's all I ask for. You don't have to subscribe. Don't have to like. Just stay around and listen. Just chill with me. And, yeah, that's it. So I guess I'll guys catch you later. I think I'm just going to play a little bit more zombies and catch some Z's. So, see ya. Thanks for listening to my story.